Hey guys, Nick here for Rev3 Games, and this weekend I spent most of my time playing The Legend of Korra by Platinum Games. Now, it is a pretty weird, interesting project, The Legend of Korra, I think, and the reason we are all talking about it at all, frankly, is because it is developed by Platinum Games, the studio known for Vanquish, and Bayonetta 2, and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. All of these like really crazy AAA Japanese action games. This, on the other hand, is a downloadable $15 licensed game based on a Nickelodeon property put out by Activision, which is pretty much all of those things are as unplatinum as you could get. So how does it turn out? Here's what I think.
Down with the Avatar!
I think more than anything else, what people want to know about Legend of Korra is how the combat feels. Clearly, solid, fast-paced combat is Platinum's hallmark, and it'd be a bummer if it was absent from their first ever downloadable game. Luckily, the combat is hands down the best part of Legend of Korra, even if everything else around the combat kind of falls flat. So, the controls in Legend of Korra are pretty standard character action fare. You've got strong attacks and light attacks, and then blocks and counters on separate triggers, plus a taunt button that occasionally works for finisher moves. Now, the main gimmick that this game has is switching between Korra's various bending skills using the left bumper and right bumper, although weirdly, the rollout of new bending skills feels remarkably slow. You don't even have any powers beyond waterbending until the very, very end of Chapter 2, which is a pretty long chapter. Luckily, there's a pretty robust skill store in the game that offers all of these sub-abilities you can unlock. For example, dashing by tapping the right trigger twice when firebending, or the ability to freeze dudes in place when waterbending. There's a lot of sort of sub-abilities that are really, really useful and really, really cool and makes this feel even closer to a full-fledged Platinum game. I think Legend of Korra's biggest accomplishment might be how different the bending schools all feel from each other. So, earthbending, for example, is extremely slow and powerful, whereas firebending is all these quick attacks and offers a ton of movement options. It is the thing, I think, that they needed to nail going into this game, was both the combat feel and the differentiating of her attacks. And for the most part, I think they actually did that really, really well. The other big takeaway I have from my time with Legend of Korra is that this game is hard, like harder than Bayonetta 2. I'm playing through on normal, which is the highest selectable difficulty when you start the game, and I think the moment that I first realized how hard it was upon encountering the first boss fight, a mecha tank, and realizing that some of his attacks will just straight up take out half your life bar in one hit. Now, after playing the game for a while, it actually turns out that most of the difficulty doesn't come from enemy damage, but in fact comes from the leveling system. So basically, each of Korra's bending abilities you level by using that ability over and over. What this means, though, is that later in the game, enemies who you would have had to chip away at gradually over a very long fight can be dispersed up in just a couple of hits, resulting in this very strange difficulty curve where the earliest chapters end up being the hardest. Overall, though, I just found myself dying in Legend of Korra a lot more than I was in Bayonetta 2, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it's for the right reasons. I keep dying in Legend of Korra because the enemy attacks frequently deal a preposterous amount of damage, and I am doing relatively little damage in the face of them. It just feels maybe like it is less balanced than the combat in Bayo 2 was, but overall the feel of the combat, the main part, again, like I keep saying, is there. That's the stuff that it was important to get right, even if the peripheral stuff feels like it doesn't have the general sheen and polish that you might expect from a Platinum project. There are also a couple of minigames in the game, and one of them is an endless runner, which is actually not as offensive in practice as it is in concept. The idea of them doing like a temple run minigame in a Platinum game is extremely, like, whack, basically. Like, when I first heard that, I was like, why? Like, why are you bothering to do that? In practice, though, it's not horrible. It gets really, really fast if you get good at it. It feels like Platinum's take, if Platinum had a month to make an endless runner, what it would feel like. So it is better than you're expecting, but it's still an endless runner. The other major minigame is obviously the pro bending arena stuff, which is little more than a clever reskin of the game's core combat, but it's also an inoffensive addition that just brings some variety to it. So while it's not quite on the level of Bayonetta 2's variety, there is stuff to break up the very, very repetitive combat. I mean, at the end of the day, Legend of Korra is a $15 downloadable game, and in a lot of ways, it feels like that shows. The quick development time and small budget compared to other Platinum games is evident in everything from the level designs to the enemy variety. But I feel like at the end of the day, this game also benefits from the fact that Platinum simply doesn't seem to know how to make a bad action game. The thing that matters most about the game, the combat, is all there, even if it lacks some of the smoothness, balance, and general polish that Bayonetta 2 has. And for Platinum fans who don't own Wii U's but wish they were playing Bayonetta 2 this holiday, you could probably do a lot worse than Korra, especially at the $15 price point. So yeah, that's what I thought of Legend of Korra. Ultimately, I'm still kind of flabbergasted that a publisher as generally risk-averse as Activision would pick someone as interesting as Platinum to develop a game like this, and it's something I hope to see more of in the future. I like the idea of taking these games that we would normally ignore, these licensed games or these $15 downloadable Activision games based on existing properties, and having those in the hands of like developers like Platinum is a really cool idea. And when this game got announced, two things happened. I was like, God, I hope it's good, which it mostly is. And it just made my mind reel with ideas for other developers who could be paired up with other major like licenses, like the Legend of Korra license. So yeah, that's what I thought of the game. Obviously it's out now, so let me know what you guys think of it in the comments, and let me know if you have any ideas of good developer franchise combinations that you'd like to see explored. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next internet. I'll see you on the next internet.
I was really into PS1 at the time, and the thing was, in order to get my PS1, I had to sell my N64.
Oh man.
So my mom's like, you can only have one at a time. You can't have everything.
That's a bummer.
All right, so I sold my N64 with all the games, and then I got the PS1 instead.
That's funny.
So yeah, I was playing a lot of like Bust a Move 2 and
it's basically.